Um, there was something that happened that always like stuck with me, and I don't feel like I ever made enough of a deal about this issue. But if I had to rank the the things that I think I was most like hurt by and disrespected by from Jared out of all the years that I've known him, it was this incident. So shortly after I had that like confession, um, when the incident happened with the girl and she told me she was dating him too. She thought I knew. I didn't. I confronted him about his kind of web of lies, and I wanted to break apart at that point, even though it was a lot to break apart. You know, I feel like he was being reckless with me, but wanting my presence in his life. Anyway, um, shortly after that, he had told me that he had talked to his dad, and he told his dad about the moment we had where I told him what my feelings were, and I guess just the predicament that we were in at that moment. But what I realized is that he only shared the part related to telling his dad my feelings for him, and that like he had this guy who had these feelings for him that was his business partner, and he would always kind of frame his relationship with his dad as like he would go to his dad for advice and clarity, all that stuff, the guidance, direction. And I don't remember making a huge deal about it at the time that he shared this with me, but I remember over the years, it just, every time I thought about it, I realized just how deep I was like bothered by it. But you know, he told his dad about me, and I had a problem with that because I felt like, A, you didn't tell your dad the whole story. You didn't tell your dad everything you were doing that led us to this place, that led my feelings to this place. You didn't tell him all the stuff that you were doing in the previous 2.5 years of us knowing each other. You didn't tell him your stuff. You outed me to your dad, but you didn't out yourself, you know? And that bothered me that that was like such an obvious and egregious you know uh incident of how he is so willing to throw the next person under the bus, somebody that he's supposed to care about, in order to maintain his image, you know. And I was really like hurt and offended by it because I felt like, look, it's not like you told this stuff told your dad about me when I wasn't in your life anymore. Like, I'm still actively in your life as your business partner. We're still moving forward, moving things forward. And so, did you ever think about if I ever had to be around your family again? I was already around your family once or twice before. At this point, did you ever think about how I would feel having to be around them as we continue being each other's lives, and how that would make me feel? You know, them looking at me like, oh, he's the one that is in love with my son. You know what I mean? Which is not even true. It's not the full story, you know? And I just couldn't believe that he did that. But I think that it didn't. It just took me a while to understand that how much that bothered me. You know, it took me years to understand how much that bothered me, um, and what he was doing with that. You know, what tactic he was taking by doing that. Um, but yeah, I'll never get over him outing me to his dad, because I wanted to say, well, did you tell him what you did? Did you tell him what you did? Because technically, we go by the timeline, you started this. You know, you started this. You consulting with your dad, trying to figure out, what do I do about, you know, my business partner has feelings for me. But you really should have been asking your dad, what do I do about the fact that I'm attracted to men, and I love bombed my business partner because I had caught feelings for him um, as well, or you just decided to pretend you had caught feelings for me, or act like you did, and it led us to this place where there's this confusion. You were looking out for only yourself, and I don't appreciate that. To this day, I don't appreciate that. I feel like that's fucked up, you know. And he did that with a couple other people where they knew that personal thing about me before I even met them. You know, he did that with Melanie, the girlfriend, and I know he did it with a few others, and probably more than a few others. And I just think that was really fucked up for him to do. If we're supposed to be friends, business partners, we're supposed to have this trust. Like, why would you out me to these people and not out yourself? That's something a really fucked up person does. And I've never got over that. I'm still working through that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still working through that one. That was a rough one for me. Because that was intentional humiliation in order to save yourself from the truth. Instead of just dealing with the truth.